The biggest Bitcoin scandal in history, I'm not even kidding when I say that, quietly went unnoticed. The Strategic Bitcoin Reserve executive order that Donald Trump signed on March 5th ordered all of the US government agencies to give us a full audit of how much Bitcoin the US Treasury holds within 30 days. Well, it's been...
We're going to break that down and find out what does that mean for the price of Bitcoin. Do they have the Bitcoin? So stay tuned.
Chasing altcoins feels like throwing darts blindfolded. Every loss hurts and every win is fleeting. Stop the cycle. Bitcoin is the safest bet in crypto, and Drip2 BTC makes it even better with high-yield wallets and discounts. Buy Bitcoin, deposit, and earn while you sleep. It's time to build wealth you can count on.
Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm Poor Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. About a week ago, by the time you watch this video, Simply Bitcoin put out this video that said they lost the Bitcoin, the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve vanished. And we're going to dive into a couple clips from them to get your take on this. But like you mentioned, there was a request to have the Bitcoin audited, and that went in via a actual executive order. And here is crypto czar David Sachs mentioning the same thing back on March 9th.
It's that we're going to do 200,000 Bitcoin that we believe are in the possession of the federal government. I say we believe because no one really knows for sure, because we never had a proper audit. So that's one of the first things that this executive order provides, that we're going to do a full government-wide audit to find out what digital assets we actually have, so they can be safeguarded and moved into a strategy that maximizes their long-term value. So
that was March 5th. And as they stated on Simply Bitcoin, that should have been due on April 5th. And I'm giving you this video on April 26th. So by the time you watch this, this will be 1 month roughly overdue. And over on the whitehouse.gov, they have a little bit of a fact sheet on that executive order establishing a Bitcoin strategic reserve and digital asset stockpile. It does not say anything about the 30-day audit in here, but it does say that in the addressing crypto management gap, the federal government will ensure proper oversight and accurate tracking. So that would definitely coincide with an audit. And as you heard David Sachs mention, that we're going to do audits. So I have no idea when that's supposed to be due, but according to Simply Bitcoin, that was due on the 5th, and we are well past that due date. I'm personally in the camp that believes that they do not have this, because as Doge has uncovered, and anyone that's been alive and breathing should know by now, that the government is just extremely irresponsible and corrupt. Not just the US government, but just people in positions of power in general tend to leverage their own selfish interests and desires. And if they can get away with stuff, typically there's enough of them. Actually, it doesn't take a lot. Let's just say 1 out of 5. If 1 out of 5 can get away with something, that's enough to add corruption at any level to any business. So even if you have 80% of your people in charge that are, straight and narrow, 20% can do a huge amount of damage to your bottom line. So I'm sure the government has way more than 20%, and there's been millions, billions, if not trillions of funds being just lost or improperly utilized. And I'm sure that Bitcoin that we have or had went missing a long time ago, along with the gold.
A single thing. If you thought that the 50-year Fort Knox mystery was suspicious, what if America really doesn't have the 200,000 Bitcoin that they say they have? Well, if you think this sounds absolutely crazy, or like a Twitter rumor, or perhaps like a YouTube title, we're not the only ones thinking this. Senator Lummis was having these exact thoughts. In fact, we have the clip. We'll play it for you guys, and then we'll dive deep into this crazy story. In fact, when me and Opti were writing this morning, we couldn't believe it. We were thinking about it. We're like, are we actually good journalists? Anyways, let's check out the clip.
We think the United States has held about 200,000 Bitcoin in asset forfeiture. What we don't know is how much of that the Biden administration was selling right before the Trump administration took office. So we have inquiries to the U.S. Marshal Service. I have talked to Pam Bondi about it. We are trying to find...
So right there, Cynthia Lummis just openly questions the integrity of the U.S. Bitcoin holdings. If the government was selling off Bitcoin before the administration changed, then that would just be another level of political sabotage, but nothing we have not seen before. So I personally am in the camp, yeah, I don't believe they have it. I don't know if it just got sold off right before that. I'm quite sure people had their hand in the cookie jar well before then and was siphoning off some funds, because I don't know how they were holding it, but all it takes is you having access to the wallet or seed phrase or however they're holding it. It's in cold storage or whatever. And if they don't have, say, multiple factor authentication with multiple people that have to sign off to move a transaction, then one person could just literally send Bitcoin to an anon address and then, you know, send it through mixers, whatever. Like it's easy to steal once you actually have access to it. And I'm sure there are multiple people at the federal level that knew about this and had access to it. So shaving off a few Satoshis here and there would not be hard to do, because I'm quite certain that they weren't monitoring it. So that's why we haven't had an audit. And like he said, if you're on the conspiracy side of what happened in the last 51 years and why we haven't had a gold audit, think about that. That's a physical amount of gold stored in a physical location in a city that the U.S. has sovereignty over. They control it. It's in Tennessee or Kentucky, Fort Knox. Can't remember which one. But the point is, we could get that audited at any time if we really wanted to. But yet and still, they have not been transparent about that. So damn sure aren't going to see this Bitcoin anytime soon, in my humble opinion. I'm quite certain that it is long gone. If not, at least some of it has been siphoned off.
So, I mean, sounds absolutely crazy. By the way, joining me on the show today, of course, we have my legendary co-host who's always optimistic, Optimus Fields, and the creator of UTX Oracle. We have Steve in the house. So again, what are we talking about? This is crazy. What do you mean you don't know where the Bitcoin is? Like, if you compare and contrast this with El Salvador's strategic Bitcoin reserve, it's completely public. They publish their address. Anyone could see it for the world to see. This is some of the benefits of Bitcoin, is that anybody could audit. It's an open ledger. Anyone could see if that address has the amount of Bitcoin that that address says it does. So check.
And like you said, you can come right out to Arkham and see, since El Salvador has published their Bitcoin holdings, a wallet, it's been tagged officially in Arkham, and you can actually see what they have. So they have 6.158K Bitcoin on their balance sheets. So it's all sitting there transparent as it should be. And for some odd reason, our government can't do the same, the US government, for those of you not from the US. And this also shows you them accumulating like 1 Bitcoin a day, as they said they were going to do, and they've been doing it for quite some time. They're sitting at, what is that, 581 million in total value, so $500 million. So let's go back to the rest of this.
Contrast with how the United States reserves work. We have to take for word the US government that Fort Knox has the gold that it says it does. We have to take them at their word that they do have this 200,000 Bitcoin that they say they do. But they can't even account for it. Mind you, this isn't just like a Bitcoin problem. The Pentagon has failed like 6 audits in a row, and you're talking about billions and billions of dollars that are completely unaccounted for. Look at all the things that Doge uncovered. So
yeah, and that to me is just the nail in the coffin. And even when I was in the military, there was just these amounts of money that they had to spend each year. So like you get a budget, and literally at the fiscal year, which is ending September 30th and the new year starts October 1st, you have people sitting around just trying to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on stuff, because the way that budget worked, it might have changed now, but basically the way it worked is that if you didn't spend it or use it, then that told the higher ups that you didn't need it. So they would cut the budget. So you have all these like inefficiencies built in, so that literally at the end of each fiscal year, people are scrambling to just buy a bunch of stuff. And that's how you end up with, like what Doge found, these insane contracts for plant watering for $5,000 a month, you know, to water one plant, something ridiculous like that. We bought, this is back in the day, so there was when plasma TVs were the new thing, just bought hundreds of plasma TVs just so we could spend a couple $100,000 in a day or so before the budget cycle ended. And that's the US military. And obviously that money could have went somewhere else, but the issue is that they are more efficient or use less than they're allocated. And the people at the top want to keep that money printer flowing, because I'm sure as it flows down the stream, there's bits and pieces being taken off and moved elsewhere. So you want to keep it as full as possible so that you can have these pieces peeling off. And then even the ones that don't get peeled off, like I said, it's just waste, buying things you don't need just so that you can keep it going. And that's just the military. And that was every branch of the military had something similar. My dad worked in defense contracts, so he did a lot of contracts for the government. And these were just ridiculously bloated, filled with stuff. So anyway, like you said, this isn't just the Treasury trying to figure out where our Bitcoin is at. This is the entire top-heavy structure, administration, bureaucracy, red tape, whatever you want to call it. So my TLDR is that they don't have the Bitcoin, they don't have the gold. And what does that mean for Bitcoin? Well, it just means number go up, because worst case scenario, they don't have it and they have to buy it. Best case scenario, they do have it, they are telling you the truth, and people can trust the government again. Worst case is they don't trust the government anymore, and it'll just be an arms race to buy Bitcoin because President Trump doesn't want to lose face. So he either will not reveal that they don't have it, or if it gets out transparently, then it'll be like a scramble because he wants to ensure that, quote unquote, the US is the Bitcoin capital of the world. So that means they would need to hold more Bitcoin than any other country. And according to unofficial numbers, the US has 207,000 Bitcoin and China has 194,000. So both of these, I think there's no way to validate. Both of these countries would lie and cover things up. So, but what's public is, so this is what I'm saying. If it comes to find out we don't have this or we have less than this, all Trump would do is move things forward to be sure that he outbeats China to purchase or have more Bitcoin on the balance sheet. So it's just even more bullish for the United States. So none of this affects Bitcoin in a negative way. It doesn't really matter. It just affects the trust of the US government. But I think most of the people watching this content, you're watching it because you don't trust the government in the first place. Like, you're into Bitcoin because you want to get out of the trusted system and get into the trustless system. Get out of the trust net and into the truth net. As I can't think of his name, from Morgan Creek Capital. I always draw a blank on this guy. But that's what this system's all about: public, transparent ledgers. So no matter what happens, what we find out, it just means that Bitcoin will go up. One way it goes up faster, one way it just goes up slower. That's all it really means to me at the end of the day. So as long as you are staying humble and stacking sats, you will be on the right side of this. And also in that regard, according to country ownership, the United Arab Emirates leads number 1 with the amount of people who own cryptocurrency, or percent of the population. So the US has the top number of people, but by population percentage, looks like it belongs to UAE. Let's see. No, I apologize. So India with the number 1 for the number of people, obviously, because there's just so many people in India. And the US sitting at number 3. And then percentage-wise, yeah, UAE. So US at number 3 for both. So again, this to me is just an ego metric that Trump would be looking at in regards, maybe not this site, of course, but all of his rhetoric you've heard him say is that he wants to be the number 1. So to me, when these things come out and he's not number 1, that just means it's more bullish for Bitcoin. That's all it means. There's absolutely not a potential red flag scenario, black swan event that I can see where this is not bullish for Bitcoin at all. All right, let me know what you guys think. Does the US have the Bitcoin? Do they not have it? Do you even care? We're sitting at about 95K right now, so everything's looking Gucci in my opinion, and I believe we will end the second quarter on some positive bullish momentum. So let me know what you guys think. Smash that HBO special, help brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.